Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the shed. This is Drew of the Shed. As a lot of you realized, I did take last week off and I was in Yellowstone National Park, which was really, really awesome and really fun. I live about an hour. I only live about an hour and a half away. So yeah, I get to go about once a summer, and it's always an awesome time. So, quick few things before we get started on today's message. First off, my giveaway is ending July 1st, so go ahead and get your entries in. It's a few videos back where I talk about what you need to do. All the entries I've had so far are just absolutely amazing. Secondly, a couple of quick shout outs. One to Pipes and Kayaks. Go check his channel out. A great guy from Rhode Island, absolutely awesome. Obviously loves kayaking. Go check him out. And also Arctic Piper. He's up in Alaska. He's another great guy and very, very thoughtful. So go check those two guys out. And so now, a little bit of housekeeping. What am I smoking? I am smoking my Big Bin Shape 100 Bin Egg in the Olympic series. And in it, I've got some Orlik Dark Strong Kentucky. So what are we talking about this week? Well, yesterday was actually my wife's birthday. And getting thinking about her birthday, over the past week, it really led me to this week's topic, and I'm going to call it Old and Wise. Which I think a lot of times we associate, maturity and the phrase old and wise together. And when I was growing up, I wanted nothing more than to be considered old and wise. And as I, grew up, and I just wanted to be just this person that was filled with wisdom and always had advice and answers for everything. And, through getting to know that, came to discover it doesn't necessarily take age to be wise. It's one of those things that we can gain wisdom through our experiences, and if we have a life full of experiences, we don't necessarily have to be old to be wise, but sometimes it certainly does help. And I think the best thing I came up with to relate being old and wise is to, think about something that's fairly commonplace, or at least was in this area in the old Wild West where I grew up, that being whiskey. Now I'm going to set the pipe down for a second because I got something else here today, as well as a pipe. This is a bottle of Bowman Brothers Virginia Bourbon. Now, bourbon is a special kind of whiskey, and if I was going to do a whiskey video, we'd talk about all the different kinds of whiskey. But whiskey, let me pour myself a drink of this here. Whiskey is rather akin to ourselves, in the fact that, we can relate ourselves being born to the process that it's being brewed, and then distilled as our rearing. Just a little bit there. Just being distilled as our rearing, and then our maturity, or our aging rather, comes in the fact of when we put ourselves in a barrel. Now, I am adding a little bit of water to this whiskey here. And it's funny because water does the same thing to whiskey that whiskey does to people. And in that fact, it opens it up. Now, when we put whiskey in a barrel, some things start to happen. Because the compounds in an oak barrel are alcohol soluble. And so they start to extract the flavor compounds out of the oak, which is a very good thing. It gives it its color, its complexity. Absolutely delightful. Bourbon typically full of lots of vanilla notes, as this one is no different. you know, and here I am talking about my bourbon, letting my pipe go home. So here's the interesting thing about aging something in a barrel. The bigger the barrel is, the slower the aging process will take, because the surface area of the liquid only has so much to become in contact with the barrel. Now you put it in a smaller barrel, and the aging process goes up exponentially faster. Now that is a lot like us. So consider yourself the whiskey. Now, the environment we are around, our experiences, are the barrel. And so we're sitting in our barrel, we're taking in the experiences, and we're gathering flavor and color, if you will, character, which is our maturity. Now, I'm not saying that one needs to be in a small barrel so they have a lot of experiences. It's just that the experiences around us, certain ones, act like a small barrel and mature us faster. As opposed to if we don't go and gather any experience, we're in a large barrel. And we don't gather any character. We don't gather any wisdom, and not as maturity as fast. So, another interesting thing. In a barrel, the slots of the barrel are called staves. And sometimes a stave can get broken, it can get cracked. It just happens. And that is like in our life, when sometimes an influence isn't the best thing for us. And so we're there, and, you know, unfortunately with whiskey, we can't trade out a bad stave when the whiskey is aging and maturing. But with our lives, we can take a bad influence, a bad experience, and we can change it out. We can go to the cooper, so to speak. I'll let you insert what you will, what you want to be your cooper. A person that repairs a barrel is called a cooper. He'll take the stave out. He'll put a new one in. So a better experience is there, you know, for the whiskey or for us, what have you. And then it is bottled. And once we are bottled, you know, and we're in continuous process of aging and bottling, as opposed to whiskey, you know, it's aged once and then bottled once. We are bottled. We are ready for the world. We release our knowledge, our wisdom, our maturity upon the world. And it is very easy to tell with whiskey if it isn't matured yet. And so too, it's very easy to tell with people if we aren't matured yet. So, that gives us some food for thought. And today, I would like to end with a quote from Martha Graham. That being, "Age is the acceptance of a term of years, but maturity is the glory of years." And with that, my friends, be kind and good to each other. Have a great week.